What is up, business owners that struggle with the most important thing when it comes to a business owner, and that is time management? And I meet so many different entrepreneurs, and there's one book that I read back in the day called the No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs. And when I interviewed people, they said it was probably the best book they ever read, because I think what most business owners don't realize, that the reason why you're not succeeding or progressing or profiting or elevating at all is because you don't know how to manage your time. And it's not just you manage your time, it's being able to manage people that want to waste your time, really is the big debate. But what I wanted to talk about specifically, so one of the things that I talk about with business owners is the price strategy, right? I don't think business owners understand that, okay, if you want to make a six-figure income, you want to make $100,000 a year in your business, you got to be producing $83 an hour. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to be producing $524 an hour. Now, no, I don't think most entrepreneurs that sell a service, right, probably get 40 hours of work a week. And I guarantee if they do, they probably don't charge $83 an hour. If anything, they probably end up making like $20, $30 an hour, probably even less than if they were to just work at a job, right? But it all comes back down to this. If you sell a service, let's just say, and you charge $150 an hour, it's a good rate for somebody that wants to make a six-figure income. But I think one of the things that business owners don't take in consideration is the driving time, the conversations you have with the client, going back and forth, emails, all that. No difference than a lawyer. A lawyer will charge you if you have a 20-minute, 30-minute call with them and bill you for it. For entrepreneurs, we don't put that in our price strategy, meaning that we don't consider all of that, right? Consider things are going to go wrong. Consider there's going to have to be changes. Consider that the people are not going to be happy with the original thing that you've created for them or the service that you offer them, whatever. Just assume there's going to be hours of time that you don't consider inside your pricing because people are a pain in the ass, right? And how many of you guys are guilty of having vendors that waste your time? Or even like I was back in the day when I used to do meetings, so I don't do them anymore. Usually I only meet with a person that's already hired me. Then we would have a conversation about how we can help them, etc. But back in the day when I used to do a lot of meetings and I used to have people work for me, I had a very strict rule. If we had an appointment together, right, and we're meeting somewhere outside of an office or somewhere local or in between us, if that person was 10 minutes late, right, I would just leave. I wouldn't call them. I wouldn't say anything because they didn't call me to say, hey, I'm almost here, or they didn't call me to say, sorry, I'm running late. None of that. They would just basically show up 30, 40 minutes late, right? This goes all back into pricing, and this all goes back into how you charge, because you don't even consider the first meeting you have with a person as an hour of your time just to get the business, right? So, but to go back to the point, so like I remember, and I was paying a person that worked for me on commission, and as soon as the 10 minutes hit, I'm like, we're out of here. And she was like, well, then how are we going to make any money? We're not making money anyways because we're sitting here 30, 40 minutes, or we're going to stay here for 30, 40 minutes if we would have stayed waiting for this person. We still got to have the meeting, which is probably going to take an hour, hour and a half. And then I got to go, and then I got to drive back home or wherever our next destination. So that's all hours that I don't think people consider, right? And when it comes to time management, you have to be able to say no. A lot of times you'll get people that work with you, right? Whether you sell websites, whether you sell makeup, whether you do hair, whatever you do, you'll get people that will be late. You'll get people that will waste a lot of your time. You'll get people that cancel on you in the last minute. This is all part of being strict with your time and being able to manage your time, but also goes back to how you price your service, because you don't consider all these obstacles that happen on the way. And I know for most business owners, you want to help the person and you want to give them everything, right, above and beyond your product and service, but not when it comes to the sacrifice of your time, because you only get so many hours in a week. You only get to do so much in a week, right? And so if you have one client, one vendor, which is another topic that we could talk about, vendors that don't meet the deadline, or vendors that you ask for something and they take forever to respond, or they don't get back in time. So now you're spending your time chasing your vendor, right? What I could say to this is that when it comes to whatever you sell, product or service, and if you actually value your time, you will start looking at your business a little different and say, okay, yo, I do want to make $100,000 a year, but the only way that's going to happen is, again, if you're charging around $100 or $150 an hour, and when you take on a project, you got to consider all hours included. And if it's not part of your agreement that if any hours go over, you charge more. See, me, what I've done is I've worked with so many different clients that I kind of have an idea how much time I'm going to spend with each person. So when I make my price, I price it flat because I'm already assuming all these different hours are going to happen and all these different things are going to happen, all these conversations are going to happen, and I'm going to consider wasting time, right? So a lot of clients will waste time bullshitting around even in conversations or whatnot, right? But let's just talk about simpler things that you could be doing to manage your time, right? One of the things I know for a fact is that most business owners don't have a schedule of when they do appointments, right? Real estate agents are definitely guilty of this, where they'll schedule anytime, see anytime, go anytime. The problem with that is, if you think about it, using a real estate agent as an example, think about how many hours that you had to work with that one client to sell that house. Then you look at your payment of what you made, the commission after all your fees, after everything that you've done, and then you look at yourself and say, damn, man, I made like $20 an hour on that, right? And the MLM industry is definitely guilty of this, because a lot of people that are in the MLM industry will spend tons of hours working on a prospect, right, to get them signed up or to set them up as a customer. And then what they don't realize, you spent 5-6 hours on that person. You're only making like a $8 to $15 commission. So you're really making like a $1, $2 an hour of all the time that you put in just to get that one client. And I know the dream is that you're going to have a residual for the rest of your life, but if you look at the numbers, most people will probably cancel within 90 days of buying the product or service from you, or whatnot. And then you did all that time for what? For maybe a $40, $50 commission. That's why I don't get excited about the MLM opportunities, only because of I'm very strict with my time and I manage my time. One of the things that I tell business owners to do is don't take unscheduled phone calls. How many of you guys are guilty, or I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, how many ladies and gentlemen are guilty of taking calls, right? Not many people have my phone number. So if you're calling me, right, it's because I give you my phone number, which is not to many. And I usually don't answer the phone if it's unscheduled, because then I don't know how long you're going to have me on the phone, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And again, you're not getting paid for this. So then I'm going to spend a lot of energy and time on this person having this conversation. A lot of times it's family and friends, which you guys are all guilty of, because if somebody calls you with this juicy gossip or some tea, you want to spend 2-3 hours wasting on that when you could be doing something productive, maybe working on your business, maybe making some phone calls to people that you need to set up appointments with. But again, this all goes back to this though. I think a lot of business owners don't qualify prospects. And I used to say this back in the day, qualify before you testify, meaning don't even go see that person unless you believe that there's a 90% chance that you're going to sell that person. Even one step further, maybe sell them before you even meet them. Because again, a lot of business owners will waste a lot of meetings, appointments, going to every Panera in the world, going to every Starbucks in the world just to have a conversation with someone for an hour, and then they don't move forward and buy your product or service. So then it was a waste of time, right? So what I'm saying on this video, I hope it's getting clear to everybody watching, be stingy with your time, right? When it comes to your kids, they can have all your time. When it comes to your spouse, they can have your time. But even then, even your closest people to you will have you doing things and wasting energy and time on things that are not productive. But that's you as being a leader of your time, basically not taking scheduled meetings. You know, it's kind of like why I was talking a lot about table events and networking on my last video, because again, you're going out, right? You're meeting a bunch of people that are trying to sell you something as well as you're trying to sell them something. And is it the best production of your time? You know, I think most business owners spend too much time in the business and they don't work enough time on the business, which is what you should be doing. Anytime you have a downtime and there's no clients or customers, then you should be focused on new campaigns for your business. You should be focused on new branding on your business. You should be focused on new messaging on your business, because you should be spending more time working on it than in it. But unfortunately for most business owners, I notice they work so much in the business that they don't have enough time to even think about the business, right? So I hope you guys got something from this video. Be stingy with your time. I am. I always have been. And don't answer that phone call, because it's probably a waste of your time.